How to motivate employees. The problem with motivating people is that if you don't know what motivates this specific person, your attempts to motivate them becomes a guessing game. I'm Roger Bailey. For the past 38 years, I've been studying and teaching how each person's motivation is very individual, is hidden, and at the same time is openly public. When I say openly public, I mean that they will easily tell you. At the same time, they will not know that they're telling you what motivates them. Since 1980, I've been teaching what I've learned to wide audiences in businesses and organizations and in public seminars, and these logos are a sample of some of those I've worked with. My techniques and approaches have been highlighted in many books, such as these. Now, Tony Robbins included multiple chapters in multiple of his Power series books, all about my material. And the other three books really focus in on the whole system that I work with. Of course, the reason most folks do not know how to motivate others is that most people do not understand the nature of motivation, nor how to detect what uniquely motivates each individual. Deep motivation for each of us is not about some object or outcome. Deep motivation is not something like a car or money or some other prize. Deep motivation comes from a specific type of communication which the receiver accepts without any modification or translation. Let me explain. Each of us has a set of filters with which we view and understand and interact with our world. As we interact with things around us, our filters are permitting some things to enter directly, and other things are either modified or filtered out and not allowed to enter. Deep motivation is a communication which goes in without being rejected or modified by those filters, and the receiver feels validated and motivated by that communication. Much of the communication we hear requires us to filter out or modify. So filtering out is somewhat normal in our modern world. I'm sure you've experienced a situation where something was there, but you did not see or hear it, yet others did see or hear it. If you don't think you've ever had that experience, do a search for Test Your Awareness, do the test, do a Google search of that, and follow the instructions for watching that video. This example will help you recognize filtering out. Your brain is constantly using its filters so that you understand the world. If something comes along that mostly fits your filters, you modify your perception of it to more precisely match your filters. But if something comes along that exactly matches your filters, your brain lets it slide in effortlessly. The filters are not activated because this incoming stuff is a perfect fit. When you experience that perfect fit, where the communication slides right in, receiving that communication feels really good. Deep motivation is a state where your brain doesn't need to filter out anything. It's when you go into some physical place, for instance, where you have a feeling of euphoria and your filters don't activate. Maybe it's a garden or a store or a restaurant where everything is just perfect. You have that feeling which you might even label as perfection. This is the feeling of deep motivation. Deep motivation is a feeling you can bring forward in a person. When you know enough about that person's filters and you can skillfully communicate using your knowledge, I want to teach you an interview you can use to determine a person's filters. You learn this technique with an online program that I put together for you, Lab Profile 2.0. Now, let me put this into perspective. My Lab Profile has been used as a business tool for recruiting and selecting and managing and motivating and influencing since 1980, like I said before. The language and behavior, or lab profile, gives you information about the thinking and behavior and motivation patterns of individuals and groups. These patterns are the brain's functional filters. And after you've clarified the person's filters, you know what jobs they can do well and what they will have difficulty doing. And when you know a person's filters, you know how to influence and motivate them. So let me give you an example of that. One of the 17 categories of Lab 2.0 is a person's scope. Does this person think or process information using the big picture or using details? There are many implications for general, that big picture thinking, and for specific, that detail thinking, in how people think, how they process information, and what kind of work they can do well. Motivation of a general person would include big concepts, but motivation of a specific person would involve details. But you can't really motivate somebody by using only one of their filters. Using your knowledge of these filters for motivation involves knowing most of the filters of that target person, or knowing most of the common filters of your target audience. Of course, my course program teaches you all 52 of the thinking and behavior patterns of the lab profile. You learn about each pattern and how to recognize these patterns in conversation. You learn so much about each and every pattern. Now, these patterns are the filters. You learn so much about each pattern that you can even recognize a person's patterns and communicate effectively with them when these patterns are different from your own. And that goes for all 17 of the categories and all 52 of the individual patterns or filters taught in my lab profile program. You learn these patterns and what they mean. You learn how to recognize each pattern. You learn a conversational interview which reveals all of a person's patterns. When you have completed the Lab Profile 2.0 program, you will be prepared to recognize which patterns or filters a person has, and you will know what kind of tasks that person performs well. You will also know how to structure tasks for that person to achieve the best that they can do, and you will know how to influence them and motivate them in their work. Boost your own professional growth. Improve your results in your job or business and get more from all of your communications. Click the link below and learn how you can start using Lab 2.0 to improve your results in all your communications, including motivating and influencing others, motivating employees. Click the link and check it out.